So I'll open the meeting for the August 23rd Harwich Affordable Trust meeting. We started exactly at 1 o'clock for the record. And I'll start with anyone here for public comment? And Mary's been traveling, so I appreciate you making the effort to be here. Get here, Mary, after traveling for some time.
Thank you, and this is precautionary. I do not have COVID, feel like a little bit of a cold, but it's precautionary.
Should we ask what time it is?
Yeah, what time is it?
What's that? I have no idea, really.
On to new business. We have 3 sets of minutes, which I think if I can get a motion, I think we can approve all 3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any comments?
There was just one typo that I found, and that was with the board secretary misspelling her name in the September 11th minutes, but no big deal.
We'll let that go then. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I put next on the, for old business, we did meet with the Community Preservation Committee. Brendan and I were there along with Claudia. Bob had other commitment and Mary was traveling, so the 3 of us were there. And I first want to thank the people who could make it for attending that meeting with us, because it brings strength to say that we went as a committee. One of the reasons I wanted to mention this was that Kathy, I think, will confirm this. That went well, but that was the first discussion of laying out what we want. The critical meeting will be later on when the CPC votes on a request or not. And I don't know, Kathy, when that will be. Probably sometime in November, I presume.
We probably won't start deliberating until December.
December.
Mid-December, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so that meeting will be critical as well. So I'm hoping that we'll get as many members as we can at that meeting to. I'm sure they'll have further questions. I thought our discussion went well. There were the questions that came up primarily were around the financial statement that we gave them, and I've asked our town administrator Joe Powers for clarification on a couple points. One was that a couple years ago the town approved the rental tax for houses. You call that the
Short-term rental.
short-term rental tax, and that was designated to go, at least I think half of that to go to the Affordable Housing Trust. That has not shown up in our revenue stream yet, and I'm less clear if that's a town issue or whether that's a state issue and when they're going to release the funds. And so I'm trying to clarify that, because that was a question that came up of the short-term rental tax. We know where that revenue is. The other question came up is we do receive money from one of the cell tower, and we've had revenue from that for 2 years. And interestingly enough, the second year of that, the cell tower revenue more than doubled from what was the first year, which that question was asked why it's not that consistent. Well, I realized looking at it later that evening that that's because there are 2 revenue reports, but from 3 years. And so I presume the second one combines 2 of those years rather than 1. It's still a little short. But we do, the town does have to transfer revenue from that fund for the past 2 years. It has not yet been transferred. And so I've asked Joe to follow up on those 2 issues on financial. I think those were the primary questions, Damien, and I'm looking at you also, Kathy, because you're there obviously. And those are we're trying to get more information to respond to those. Brendan?
Nope.
So that was, any other discussion on it? It was a good discussion. I feel comfortable that as long as we keep communication open and we can, I think we can justify our request to build, funds going forward, that we're in good shape. We did update them on the, by the way, did update them on the most recent draft of the action plan, and we gave them a draft copy of our RFP, emphasizing both those cases, especially the draft RFP, that is draft. And but I think our feeling, we talked about a little bit ahead of time, I know my feeling is that it's public. We presented it here, so the sooner we get it out there for discussion, the better off we are. So we wanted to open that up, and people when people look at, probably it'll be hopefully questions and concerns, but bring them now, not later, so we can discuss them. We also brought up Joe working with the on the helping out on the next on the agenda is on the apartments above the fire station, the old fire station that you're working on, and that was a discussion going forward. And Joe, you want to speak to where we are now in the? And Richard, you're welcome too.
I'm fortunate, Mr. Chairman. I work with pro bono consultation with HFA and HCT, so.
Well, I got to pick on you some. Come on.
Hello, trustees. Joe Rigo, Harwich Fire Association member. Been working a lot with the membership and Bruce and Norm Clark, Bruce Young and Norm Clark, who could not make it today. And I apologize, I was not here at your last meeting, so maybe you can fill me in a little bit about what they talked about. But I have a lot of the information, and I'm working on gathering information to work with you guys on, going forth of trying to get some money to do 3 affordable housing apartments on the second floor of the old Bank Street Fire Station.
Yeah. And just very briefly, we had very positive meetings, because that's the way to get some affordable housing in Harwich. We're anxious to move forward as soon as we can. I think my discussion last week was you've presented a application to CPC. I see no reason why we can't use all the same information, and that's very detailed. I was telling Brendan just prior to opening the meeting, and I'm not sure, I'll leave it to the committee on, because we're all losing patience on moving ahead. But recommendations made to me from one of our consultants that we slowed down a bit, because we've extended Jen Golston's contract to provide for us a process, not the application. I think we want to use there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. I think that information's go, but they're sure there's step 1, step 2, and what you bring to us and the timing. And the recommendation was that we slow down to complete that, so we're not accused of give preferential treatment to your effort rather than some other subsequent efforts may come in front of us. I don't know where to go with that, because I'm anxious to move ahead. On the other hand, we did sign a contract extension. I know, Mary, we've been working on some time, I think a week ago, but that's probably 6 weeks out before we get that process in place. So I'll throw it to the other questions, but I'd like to go as far as we can today. Maybe we somehow marry it with that process when it comes in place, so we don't slow it down.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, it was interesting. We were there Saturday morning. We were putting up walls. And as you know, you've seen the work that's been done on the exterior of the building, and we've used all of the funds that were given to date to do the outside. And people were amazed how quickly that the Harwich Fire Association got that done. 2 weeks ago, retired Chief Norm Clark, who was a project manager, met with one of his friends, gave him $100. He went out that day and bought as much lumber as he could with that $100. Last Friday, he got another 100. Saturday, we used that lumber to build what we could for walls. So the association is looking at a number of funding sources, but none are substantial size. Every dime that they're getting in terms of donations at this point is going directly to lumber. And in essence, volunteers from the association are doing what they can until they get enough to bring back the contractor to finish the work upstairs. Our goal is very similar to yours, is to get housing online as quickly as possible. And whatever criteria that you're gonna require for creating steps to get approval is fine, but as soon as the association can get a grant, they can get going and finishing these units. Love to see next year dedication and putting people into these apartments.
Agreed, yeah, thank you. Obviously, we need any housing we can get. I appreciate that. I think that, and we're trying to work together with your application with CPC, because we're looking at the total, and as you know from, I think we all know that a joint funding from more than one source makes it more comfortable with CPC than it does for us, so we can work together on that. I think I'm going to push the button to you, Brendan, ask more detailed questions.
I mean, I think,
I hate
well,
when I do this.
well, I think the application process is gonna be very similar to the CPC application, where you're gonna have project description, how does it impact Harwich, very, very simple, but probably be about 7 to 8 questions, very similar to what you've seen. I think that would be the first step, and if there is an ask for funding, what the dollars would be, and also, where the other funding's coming from, whether you need $800,000 or 1.2 million. It'd be nice to know in a pro forma where you're getting all the funding sources and how we can contribute. So I think that would probably be maybe the next 2 steps, is to get that application to you. And maybe we can even just create, if you want me to create just a quick application with our letterhead on it or something.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, I'd like to see as close an estimate you can give me, so what you're going for CPC for this year. Because I think you were asking for a total of 800-some.
850 is the request for
850 is the
CPC,
request.
yeah.
And just to be certain I understand that, then, if we were to provide, pick a number, $300,000-400,000 from that,
Yep.
that reduces your CPC application,
Correct.
so that's the total.
Yep.
So I think,
And the difference is, waiting for CPC is waiting for another year.
right,
And then
I
funding
understand
can
that.
come in. And we're currently meeting with 3 other sources, but they're small. They're nothing like type of grants that we're talking with CPC or with the Affordable Housing Trust. They're short, but again, we're taking short donations. $100 we buy lumber. Lumber gets put up into the walls. So we will continue exploring other grants that are available to us, but we can get more done, again, with the goal of a year from now saying, look what the Affordable Housing Trust did.
And I look across at my other members here, I think we're all on board on that. We want to move ahead. I would like to maybe come back and answer some of Brendan's questions and have a total amount so we can go, we know what we're talking about going between our funding and what you're asking for CPC. And I would suggest as soon as you get that, we hold a spatial meeting to,
We can do that.
As soon as we get what, Larry?
the response to Brendan's questions on the sort of a rough pro forma of what the total cost will be.
Yeah.
Well, it's just an application.
Right, and we have that available.
Because we
I
have a
think that was-
process, to Larry's point, or we just can't,
That's perfect. I absolutely understand. As soon as you have it,
Yeah.
basically, the breakdown is already available.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mr. Rigo has done that already.
good,
We've
good.
We'll
looked
be
at
able
the
to
number.
fill that
Yeah.
out in,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
a day's time.
I think if you bring that back, I think we should have a spatial meeting and try to move ahead on it, so we get
If we could walk away today with the entire trust's questions, we can have that available truly in a couple of days, back to you.
Well, Brendan's spoken, let me go to the rest of them. Mary, I'll start with you, and we just move across any additional.
I trust Brendan on what he has for questions. My only concern is the process, much as what Larry said. I'd gladly sign the check today, but I think we've got to have a process and follow that process. So I'm hoping that she can move that quickly. I understood that there are other trusts that have it, and she was going to be able to put something together pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you. Claudia?
So was that, when you were saying it was 6 weeks out for Jen to get a process together, or is
That was a couple weeks ago to get,
Okay,
to finish that process, because she was busy, so.
okay. And in terms of the, sorry.
But that's a good point, because we're now talking, a month. Let me confirm that, it's a month, and a month is not gonna kill you up or down, I assume, if we get that. As long as if we leave here with consensus that we're moving forward, at least you can plan on something.
With the 850 total, I know you've got the numbers already, do you have what the 3 apartments are versus the whole building?
I'm gonna make that delineation, because that would work out best for us in the request for, through your trust and the CPC. I don't have that number today.
Okay.
We're finalizing the plan, the floor plan right now. That gives me the square footage, which then I can go ahead and figure the value for each unit.
Okay, perfect. Those are all my questions.
Yeah, those are good questions. It'd be great to have that floor plan of what it looks like. Yeah, thank you, Claudia. Bob?
My recollection was that last month, the number was tossed out of 150 per unit to
I heard
build
that
that,
number,
to
yeah.
build it out. I think they had numbers about plumbing and electrical, and so that would throw it around 450 for the
So-
apartments.
My understanding, because I wasn't at that meeting, it sounds like those numbers are placeholders. That needs to be calculated
Okay.
before, I think in the application, the request will reflect specifically what the value for what you're getting.
Okay.
That'd be my,
And it
Idea.
was, in essence, a placeholder, because again, all this is new. There is no process. How
new
much
for
can we
us.
get? And for us, we'd love to be able to finish the apartments.
Yep.
You know, there's other work that needs to be done downstairs, but that will be taken care of, hopefully out of CPC funds. But first and foremost, I know we had the discussion. What will we come and ask for? We come for 100, 150, 200 per unit, would love to finish them off. Understand the restrictions of what can be done. So it was a number that was thrown out. Joe has been doing all of the calculations for the entire building. So he knows best what the breakdown will be upstairs alone,
Yep.
per unit, and that way we can bring that back what's a reasonable time frame, Joe, for you?
don't ask my wife, but I probably could do it in a week.
So I'll hold off on having one of the lights in my office fixed until, to get that prioritized, but within a week, that's reasonable.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
So we could bring that back to you.
Great.
But without any funding, you're at a standstill, correct?
Unless we have folks popping us a check here or there, correct.
Or you're waiting for CPC if it gets awarded to you?
Well, CPC won't happen until next July.
That's the
We're
point.
awarded
It-
now,
It's
because
next,
fiscal
and that's
year.
why we're pounding the pavement, looking for any grant that we could get. Again, the goal is how quickly can we get this done? I'm impatient, I know HFA's impatient, everyone's impatient. What can we get done? We keep hearing, put a shovel in the ground. Shovel's in the ground now. Now we gotta pay for it and get it finished up.
But you're asking money to pretty much limp along to finish the project.
That's,
Yeah.
and if you wanna provide the funds to finish the
Yeah,
upstairs,
so-
great, we'll be happy to take it.
Mm.
And the rest can come out of CPC or other funding. I want you to know that members of HFA stood out in 28 all summer long, every Wednesday, okay, to get some funds. Those funds have been expended. And I want you to know how hard they're working at that. That was about $20,000 in donations that came in, that was earmarked for this project. So these gentlemen, they do a lot of work without the publicity. You know, they're just getting it done, getting it done, getting it done. If you go by there Saturday mornings, work is being done every Saturday. So we are limping along with whatever funds, grants, donations that we can get until we can get it done.
I think, but that's an important point, because by funding now, our goal is to have housing in towards the end of next summer, early fall, because the original, the money if CPC does go as a request, that wouldn't happen until July. But we'll get it closer by keeping the funding going now, so it's not gonna happen immediately. Let me ask you something else. I know I'm pretty sure Brianna has shared with you, some of the restrictions, if you will, on this, a 99-year lease, it has to be, rent, the people in rent has to be open to everyone. Are you comfortable with those caveats on this?
I've discussed with the housing advocate, Fair Housing Act law, and we've gone through that. Yeah, we wanted to know all the information ahead of time to make sure, when we accept money, what we're accepting, and, how it's gonna work.
Okay, so you've been fully informed and you're comfortable with
Yep.
with those?
And it's still, I use Brianna still for an avenue for questioning on, hey, what if this, what if that? And she's been very good at pointing me in the right direction.
Yeah, well, good, because I'm getting the same information, so Brianna's helping us out. Mary?
Did I understand that you're now talking all 3 apartments are gonna be affordable?
Correct.
I think a month ago, there were gonna be 2 affordable and 1 market rate to help maintain the whole property.
So, learning through, reading these laws and acts, accepting, town money from the trust or the CPC, puts the umbrella on us for affordable housing, so we'd make all 3 the affordable housing. It works out in our favor anyway, because our intention was to have it affordable, for workforce, housing, which is pretty much the same thing. So the values and some of the restrictions came out to be almost what our intention was anyway, so.
Great, really appreciate you guys doing that.
Any other comments? Let me ask first, anyone from the public care to comment? Question? We'll leave it here then. What we'll do is when you get the information back through Brianna,
Okay.
be the way to do that. We'll schedule a meeting sometime, looks like next week. So we can,
Okay.
we can move ahead, hopefully. And, because in my mind, this is still short money for 3 affordable housing units.
Can I just ask, Mr. Chairman, you want a pro forma, basically, of the breakdown of the construction of the units?
I think it's important. I think it'd be a
That's fine.
mistake for this board to give money to a project that can't finish, that lingers for 3-4 years, or to tie up any money.
It's not gonna
So
linger
if there's a deed restriction on the property and there's a path to the 3 apartments, like, obviously, I think the board's for it. But, we think of us as, almost as a bank, and you're getting a construction loan, you have to show how you're gonna finish the project.
It's not a problem, I just want to make sure that anything else that you're looking for, we have up front, so we can provide you everything at once.
Yeah, and also maybe trying to break down like, well, I mean, the CPC funds and how we get you money before and then the dollar value, so there's a lot to figure out still. I don't wanna commit to anything, but yeah.
I absolutely agree with you.
We're definitely,
We understand the interest there, but we just want to make sure that all of your questions are answered in the next submission that we have to you.
Fair enough.
That's a good point. Let me ask if after we leave this meeting, you have additional questions, email them to me, and I'll be sure I forward them through
Great.
Brianna to them, so we don't.
And we'll get them an
We'll try to
application?
respond, yeah.
Yeah, Brendan, you're gonna get the application.
Yeah, I'll work with Brianna to get you the application, so you at least fill that out for us.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent,
Mhm.
happy to do that.
Mary?
Just one other question. When I had a great tour there with Norm and Bruce, we did talk quite a bit about grants, because I still do write the grants for the pantry. So is someone pursuing that, some grant opportunities?
We have a group in our membership that's been pursuing like at least 2 grants, maybe 3. And right now, that's just, I think it's just in the application and request
Yeah,
phase.
We spoke to 2 people last week about grants, and again, they're a great opportunity, and it will take anything we can get. Those $100 bills have been great.
right.
You can see the lumber that was put up with it, but if we can get a $1,000, $5,000 grant,
Right,
all of those are being pursued.
Great.
And where you are a grant writer, if you have any others that we're not aware of, would be happy to hear your information.
I sent Bruce a list of all the ones that I knew of, either had written to or knew of, that I thought would be applicable. And also told them about a database up at the Four Seas Library where you can research, so.
Thank you.
And I'm glad if anyone wants to ask me about grants, I'm kind of an open book.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think we have a path forward, and this is a great 3 affordable houses. That's our mission right now
Yeah.
from our perspective. Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
So we'll move.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
for pursuing this.
And your team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the draft request for Marceline property, request for proposal. I sent you another copy of the draft RFP this weekend, I think Saturday morning, along with some points I felt that Laura has specified that we respond to in this, so we can have that discussion today. I did this just before this meeting, get an email from Laura. It's Laura Schofield who's a consultant on this, and this doesn't seem to be my day for moving quickly ahead. She's asked me also that we slow down a bit, because I wanted to take you know, I think we're all impatient. We've had the Marsline property for a while and we're anxious to go. But let me read to her email, then I'll send it to you, and so we can include it with the minutes as well. That happened so quick. It says, the narrative for the RFP can be finalized today, but the attachments have not been finalized, so the release will have to wait for the due diligence report, which they're working on. She's used some of her internal sources. I thought it might be done now, but that's been delayed a little bit. And conceptual concepts, that's kind of a double word there, be finished. And her concern is we haven't really fully reviewed the scoring criteria in Schedule A. And so let me come back to that, and then read the rest. It's a short email, so don't panic. It's not. I know you're anxious to release the RFP. Okay, I told her that. But it has, and I think Laura, she couldn't make it today. She might get later. She had another conflicting meeting. Regarding timing, as I think I mentioned at the meeting I attended, state funding pre-applications are due in November, and if okay to proceed, applications are due in late January. During the time, developers are working on those applications with only a couple of weeks between pre-application and invite for full application. No one will be looking at RFPs until February. She recommends then that we shoot to get the RFP out in the first part of February. Now, my response to that was really twofold. One was, okay, she's the expert. We'll follow that. My second comment was, and I make that kind to you as well, is I don't think that should slow down our process, because we need to finalize this and get it to Joe Meganless of our procurement officers. My feeling is as urgently as we can, because as we know from past, and Mary is probably still true, they're very busy individuals, and sometimes it takes them a while to take action on a procurement request. And so I really want to get our action finalized, certainly no later than mid-December, so that we have time, and if it's needed, to get it in the formal procurement format, if that's the right term. So it does go out as soon as we can in 1st February. So I guess my recommendation is really twofold. One is, let's go back and relook at the scoring criteria. And if you can email those to me, any thoughts you have, I'll forward. And if we're going to meet next week, in any case, for the fire station, we can bring that up and be sure we agree to how we're going to score it. My second request is, and as she says, I think the narrative looks pretty good to me. We can go as far as we can. But I do not want us to slow down, so I want us to be going on this. Marsline's been around. Brendan, don't get on a tear on this, but because Brendan's been here for a long time, we're ready to move on it. We want something to happen. Barry?
Can you translate into English for me why we have to wait till February? I didn't follow that at all.
She's not here to defend this statement, and I think, Brendan, you may understand this better, but she's telling me, as I understand this statement, people won't be, well, let me just read it again, and I'll see if we get it better. I say, regarding timing, I think state funding pre-applications are due in November. Now, that's the part I have question about. What's the state funding pre-application? What's the state involvement in this? Does anyone know?
Well, that's all the funding.
So developers look for funding, they'll wait till that point, is that it?
You're talking developers that have already been awarded an RFP, and they already signed maybe a ground lease, and now they have the whole package, and they're going to the state to see what funding they're gonna get.
Okay.
So we're falling into that where there's other things going on. The next round of RFPs probably won't be looked at until February, and they have to wait till next November to hit those
Okay.
deadlines again.
So she's saying there's no advantage of going in before November because no one's gonna look at it from the funding. Is that,
Right.
do we understand that right? Mary, does that?
So do I read that when we issue this RFP, whenever that is, developers won't be able to get funding until next November? Is that
But they won't be able to
correct?
apply for it.
They won't be able to apply for it until next November.
But there's a lot of work
Oh
to
my
do
God.
beforehand. I mean,
But the,
on their part to even get
Oh,
awarded,
Oh, okay.
you know, all kind of renderings and, you know, what they're gonna do with the land itself and what they're proposing. So there's a lot of work that goes in.
let me, Brendan, let me continue that discussion. That means that as soon as we get the RFP out, the developers will respond to it.
Correct.
And so it's in their court. They'll respond to it, they'll give their ideas and
Yeah.
whatever they're gonna do, conceptual plans and all the things we asked for in the RFP.
Pretty much, yep.
Okay, so I feel better about that, because then we'll start the process, because I think what I'm anxious to do is to get this out, have developers, because I think we have a very smart, creative developers come back with ideas, because I think that's when we need to really open it up for public discussion, because my view is a public discussion goes a lot better if people can react to something. I think in the past we've had some public discussion, sort of what the vision is, but that's a nebulous idea to debate. So we can get that going next year, then I feel pretty good, at least we'll be moving forward. Mary, does that?
Yes,
Brendan, help you
yes,
on
thank you. That,
Why Brendan's here to answer
that
questions.
translates.
Well, I'm just currently going through it with we're trying to help out the VA. They just got a project in the vineyard. They just got awarded, and they're still at ground lease, and they're about 4 months into it. So they're trying to hit those deadlines for this November. So that's the reason why.
Well,
But it takes, it's taken them 4 months to get to this point after being awarded and everything else, so funding, so and you usually get denied the first year, so even for everyone out there, you could submit and get denied, so we're really 1 year away from applying, or the developer, then they could get denied, so you're probably 2 years away from getting the approval of all your grant money. And then you could put a shovel in the ground. So just so you know where it lies.
Richard, you have to use the mic, I'm afraid.
Thank you. If I can through you, Mr. Chairman, Brendan, that is for state funding, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Strictly for state funding. So if an RFP goes out and a developer does address, and they can create private financing for it without going to the state, you may not have to wait 2 years.
Right, that's through the 40B
Correct.
comprehensive permit process.
Correct.
Well, if I'm understanding how the discussion has gone, though, there's no reason why we can't move as quickly as we can on getting the RFP out there. Even if they don't do anything for,
Yeah.
so they can react to it. So
We have procurement as well, too.
And we have procurement, it has to go through procurement, so. Well, we have two, I think, actions in front of us, and one is, are there any other comments on the narrative? I think we've looked at that several times. Yeah, I think it reads pretty well myself. Is there any comments, questions, or we can,
There's, in the invitation to bid, section 2, actually. They say, who is it supposed to go to? Are these really questions?
Yeah, are we looking to fill in the blanks today?
well, I think a lot of these blanks, I don't think so, because some of these blanks are dates and stuff that I think we'll let the procurement people decide what
Mhm.
dates they're going to put in those.
Okay.
I don't see many questions that we need to respond to today in terms of the narrative that won't be filled out in due course when the RFP is issued. Because, the date it's issued will set when they would expect a response, for instance.
Larry?
Yes.
One thing, it's, that same section, section 2, proposed submission, they're looking for a name of the housing proposal. I mean, certainly we could do that.
Yes.
I would suggest we stay away from calling it Marceline,
I
since
agree.
my understanding is he doesn't want us calling it Marceline.
Well, Nora, I think that's shorthand for us. I don't think we should either.
Right.
So this,
So the suggestion was to use the address, which is Pleasant Lake, whatever that exact address is.
Pleasant Lake Housing,
Yeah.
okay.
And I thought there were a few other blanks we could fill in, but let me just look. Well, again, it's the assessor's map, so we'd get to that with the address. on the selection process, the evaluation, well, it's not paged, it's section
Yeah, sorry,
8.
mine. Okay.
Section 8?
Section 8, selection process, it said the evaluation committee consisting of. We could certainly decide that, who that should be.
Yeah, I would think it'd be us, the trust,
The entire,
the
Entire
entire trust.
trust.
But I wondered if we should have someone else besides us, not suggesting we aren't all collectively and individually brilliant, but
What?
maybe someone who's done this before. And I don't know whether somebody like from CPC or HAC
I mean,
or.
can Laura help us with that?
Well,
process?
she was
Maybe we
another.
can ask her to do that,
Yep.
if that's okay. I'll follow up with Laura then. if you-
Or even Donna Kalanick from Brewster. She lives in Harwich, but she's very involved with housing in
Yeah.
Brewster.
Yep. And
I just thought somebody, maybe you guys have done this before, but I've not.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. I'll follow up with both of those maybe,
Okay,
if that's okay with everyone else. And we'll say the Housing Trust Plus, we can name some individuals with experience.
I think that was it, Larry.
If you want additional, we could post it, we're gonna meet next week, we could give you one last shot at this, make our final vote next week, or we can vote on the narrative now.
well,
Bob?
I'm comfortable. I feel like we
Yeah.
went through it really
Yeah.
pretty
I-
thoroughly with Laura, so,
Yeah,
you know,
thank you.
we stopped at the criteria, so it seems like that's where we would pick it back up in terms of
Yeah.
any changes.
Bob?
under the development concept, one of the things that I find missing here is any statement about the desire to have this project be eco-friendly, the use of native plants, the possibility of doing some septic demonstration programs, and also the sensitivity to the Six Ponds development area.
Yeah. Would you be okay with just simplifying that and say eco-sensitive, so we don't get too detailed?
Yep.
Okay. Because that'll give us a chance to give some flexibility when the developers come in.
That's fine.
If nothing else, I would certainly, Brendan, you might want some more time. I'd entertain a motion to approve the narrative, and we can come back on the scoring criteria then.
You need more time, Brendan?
I'm good.
Okay, I move to approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Any other comments? Good, we'll approve that, and let me ask you to get back to me with your ideas of scoring criteria, and we can do that next week. I think we're ready to then try to move this along. Because we know the procurement officials in town are very busy, so we'll give them some time to put it in the proper format to get it out there.
When you say scoring criteria, I'm looking at attachment A.
Attachment A is what she's talking about.
Okay,
yes.
and
Sorry.
do we want to numerically weight these, or what are you thinking? There's three categories now: unacceptable, advantageous, and highly advantageous.
I think that's been the process they've used in the past. I forget the reasons to stay away from numbers per se, but that's been, I'm okay with it, everyone else is, that's been their practice.
Yeah.
You okay with that, Bob?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mary?
Why did she want more work on this section? It looked pretty thorough to me.
Only that she wanted to be sure we agreed to it.
Oh, okay.
So, I've read it and I thought it was
Yeah.
okay, but in response to her, if she feels more comfortable with a more formal, just specifically on that,
Okay.
I think we have one chance to look at it, and we'll come back next time and handle
Okay.
it,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Larry?
Mary,
May-
go ahead.
Maybe some of what Bob was suggesting, which I agree with, could go into here under highly advantageous. Maybe you can find a place to fit in there, Bob.
The eco-sensitive?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You have a term for eco-sensitive, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that. but Bob, you can think it over and give me your
Okay.
comments on that.
Yeah, Bob, just under, under site design, landscape plan, including within parking areas, includes native plantings and when feasible enhances rather than replaces existing vegetation, so, and then it's got, the natural buffer, so maybe if there's anything that you want to add to that under the site design, it looks like there's a start to it there.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. It's like right in the middle of that section.
Any other comments? Anyone in the public? Kathy?
Kathy Green from the Community Preservation Committee. This is related, but not really related, but the Community Preservation Committee has been working for the last year on trying to improve signage and getting the word out there of what the taxpayers do, in fact, fund through the Community Preservation Act. And to that end, we've gone back and forth, and we've actually come up with a design for some banners and for some lawn signs. And we're starting off small, maybe 4 or 5, seeing as how they're received in the community, et cetera. So would it be a good location to put a 5-foot banner that's easy to read on stakes at the Marceline property someplace? On either, probably Queen Anne would be best, so people aren't going to have an accident on the other road. But we're ready to go. We've got our banners and stuff, and we're
Okay.
about to, probably put them up in the next week. And I was just thinking that that might be a good location. It simply says, it has like a logo, and it simply says that this was supported with Community Preservation Act funds, which came from the taxpayers of Harwich, something like that. It's-
No, I like it. I think we'll try to move ahead with that, Kathy.
Yeah.
'Cause
I mean,
I'd
part
like
of,
to-
part
I'd
of the
like to s-
reason is because, there's been some talk about, sort of changing the percentage of funding that comes from the CPA Act, or the tax from 3% down, and we need to get the word out to keep that intact if possible, so that's part of this also.
Yeah,
So,
we'll make that happen. I'll work with you to get in, or
Okay,
and get that
great.
out. Because I do appreciate Kathy, you put a small sign, but you put a notice on the new playground by the elementary school that identifies as being funded by CPC, which looks great. It's be much smaller than this one, but never hurts to have a little advertisement.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
It's nice it also lets people know things are moving, when they see the sign, they'll be like, okay, hey,
Absolutely.
something's going on. So as we start to
Yeah.
get more involvement and requests for more involvement from the town, anything helps.
Okay. Well, thank you. We're moving very well through the agenda. Not that that's our only mission in life, but it does help. Mary, you asked me not to ask tough questions, and I said, well, forget that, even though you just got off the plane. What's your thoughts on meeting with the full board?
I thought we talked about that at the last meeting. The
Yeah,
board
but-
was totally in agreement and did think an evening meeting would be better so that perhaps more of the public could attend.
Do
so-
that in conjunction with your normal board meeting?
It could be, or if you wanted a different night, the board was pretty open. They were very interested in doing it. So I think if you want to
I think
give
it
me
was-
a couple of possible dates,
Yeah.
I'll clear it.
I think my preference would be in conjunction with the normal board meeting, because we have a chance for better attendance
Okay,
if we do that.
do a Monday night, yep.
And,
It can't be next Monday because we've committed to something.
maybe 2 weeks then.
Yeah, probably, because the 6th will be our, how about the 13th, November 13th?
Because after that, we start getting in, yeah.
Is that a Monday?
How's that work for you guys?
Yep, that looks good.
I will,
And I suspect we will give something like we presented to CPC
That's fine.
of what we've done and get their questions and comments. It'll be, I think, Mary, the intent is having a two-way discussion, so we can
So this would be a joint meeting of
A
the
joint
trust
meeting,
and the board,
Yeah,
open to the, here, or do you want a bigger venue?
I think here,
Okay,
because we've yet to draw a real crowd. I don't think we will till we get conceptual plans.
okay.
And we can add any updates on the fire station.
We can add that, yeah.
Yeah.
and
More
move it on.
finalized RFP or update on that, that'll be
That
good.
would be good, yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
So October 13th. November 13th.
November.
November 13th.
Year's over before I started. Our next meeting is, well, we're gonna schedule a special meeting, but our next scheduled meeting right now is November 20th. Does that work for everyone? Because we're in close to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We've decided to forego traveling to Wisconsin with the, for various reasons.
Actually won't be here on November 20th.
On the 20th?
It's at 1. Yeah. Ouch.
But by then, we should have the serious stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll stick with it, because if we have a meeting next week, we'll get the RFP going.
Yeah.
And we should be okay, Brendan.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. Any other items, we'll plan on that. Any other items we need to discuss?
I would like to have on the future agenda.
Yeah.
The meeting that we had to postpone with the Community Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, Cindy was gonna give a.
Right.
Well, I'll see Cindy in a half hour.
Mhm.
So I'll bring that up. We'll try to schedule it with the Chamber of
That's great.
Commerce. Because we have a, not related to this, another topic I need to meet with her on. And just for your information, Bob's asked for, if we could have an executive session to talk about some property issues. And I'm pursuing that, but through KP Law, because as you know, we have to be really careful on executive sessions and what we can do and what we can't do. And so, we'll see how that goes. But I've responded to Bob's
Thank you.
request on that.
Excellent.
Any other items we need to discuss? Anyone from the public? Elizabeth?
Hi, Elizabeth Harder, various things. I'm wondering if at some point on a future agenda you could discuss the impending departure from various properties from the shy list this year. Thank you.
Okay. I got it. If no other items, appreciate you all attending. Certainly our committee, but I'm always happy to see people coming in and watching us and contributing as well. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Thank you. I thought we were going to stay here forever. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.